NFL legend Danny Dimes signs with the Vikings. All the reaction coming up.
What's up? I'm Luke Braun from Locked On Vikings. What do Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, and Sam Darnold all have in common? That's right, touchdown passes to Vikings.
Hey, this is Arif Hassan with the Wide Left Substack. I'm going to boot out.
Had to be there, I guess. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. I can't wait for this Ed Donatel 30 for 30 someday. Should be a good one.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hassan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
What's up? Welcome into the Minnesota Football Party on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. We are a day early. Usually do this Mondays and Thursdays. Tomorrow's a holiday. We're going early, and I'm glad we are because Daniel Jones signed to the Vikings practice squad. Full reaction coming up with the whole crew, the Lukes, Arif, myself, and Ron Johnson joins in a little bit to give his take on this Thanksgiving Eve. We also get into the keys to the Cardinals game, plus Sam Darnold's future. Trey Wingo with a tweet that throws that into question, or maybe puts a stamp on the end of Sam Darnold in Minnesota, plus the much-awaited Thanksgiving food draft coming up at the end of the show. And the show is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the best way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Daniel Jones signed to the Vikings practice squad, not the active roster, the practice squad. Luke Edmonds, is this a thing? Is this a big deal? Is this no deal at all? What do you make of it?
I think it's something that has very little risk, right? Feels like a win-win for both sides, at least on paper. I mean, they signed him to the practice squad. You don't even have to give up a roster spot. So no compensation, no picks, no money. I mean, they got no one protected, right, after next year with Darnold. And we'll get into the Darnold conversation if he comes back. But it still feels like this is J.J. McCarthy's team. Darnold, the way he's playing, probably going to get a decent-sized quarterback bag next year. Nick Mullins is a free agent as well. So it just gives you another option. And a guy who, okay, former top 10 pick. He showed some promise. You get him in the building now. Start soaking up the playbook, soaking up the system. You get him ahead of the curve a little bit, and then you figure out in 2025 if you want to bring him back. So on that note, it's just it's somebody. It's an insurance policy. It feels like to have somebody in the system lined up behind J.J. McCarthy. So you got to have an insurancy policy going into next year. Maybe you're worried about the knee a little bit more. Maybe that thing's stalling out. Maybe he's not ready for training camp, let's say. You got to have somebody competent back there soaking up those starting reps, all offseason. So, again, he's free, essentially. You get him in the door for a couple months as this insurance policy. You get a taste to see what it all looks like, and maybe that paves the way to bring him back next year as a backup for J.J. McCarthy. If, again, Sam Darnold's too expensive, which we'll get into it, I think he will be, and if they don't bring back Nick Mullins. And if you're Daniel Jones, too, why would you not want to come? This place has got a great reputation between, the owners, the facility, all the players speak so highly of this franchise, but also the coach. I mean, the head coach is quickly becoming one of the better offensive play callers and kind of this quarterback guru, if you will, in the league too. So it just feels like a win-win for both sides. Darnold, go get your $30 million somewhere else. We got DJ waiting in the wings now. Next man up.
Yeah, I think that you're touching on the right aspect here. This is more about 2025 than it is 2024. It's like, it's the first date, where they're getting to know each other, want to see if this could be a long-term fit. And I was skeptical.
He's temp tire.
Yeah, kicking the tires.
That's what I often say about my first dates. We're just kicking the tires.
Yeah, we're just.
You're picking up this bill, right?
Yeah. If someone else
That
wants
sounds
to
like
call
something
you-
you'd say like after a couple divorces.
Yeah. If someone wants to call you up to their active roster, cool. We'll wish you well.
Right.
I'll wish you well.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We'll be happy.
No harm,
for
no
you.
foul. Yeah.
Yeah, which could happen. It could happen if I can't think of the exact scenario where this would make sense, but if a team decided they needed Daniel Jones on their active roster immediately in the case of injury, I think the Vikings would not, wish him harm if he wanted to go and take that opportunity. But
I mean, the Vikings have been nothing but generous to Daniel Jones. I mean, they've got him paid twice, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
so he better take a discount in whatever agreement they have right now. I was skeptical that this would be like a great backup improvement on such short notice. I mean, if you believe reports for all of eternity that quarterbacks kind of need to learn the system to be like sustainably effective and not Josh Dobbs.
Look, I mean, I've experienced enough of Kevin O'Connell that none of this matters. None of what we think about quarterbacks matters. None of what we think about how much you need to prepare in offense with a quarterback matters. Joshua Dobbs was way better when he didn't know any of the players' names.
He was
much like the
better.
playbook.
Yeah.
Literally better.
So I've stopped having like quarterback takes when it comes to Kevin O'Connell. Mind you, I don't think I was wrong on any of them, but the degree to which I was right was not enough, right? I liked the Joshua Dobbs trade. I should have loved it. I liked the Sam Darnold signing. I should have loved it. I thought that he would be good for Kirk Cousins. He was great for Kirk Cousins. Sure, whatever. Does he want to sign a dog? Fine, he'll figure it out. He's good at this. Like
Airbud. Coming soon to theaters.
Basically, that's what they just did, right? Like we could break down Daniel Jones as a quarterback. That's fine, sure. But at the end of the day, I just think Kevin O'Connell's gonna make a series of correct decisions at the position. And, we can talk about how Daniel Jones is a former first-round guy, that, one of the things that attracted him to the Giants initially in the draft was that he actually ran that offense a little bit better than I think a lot of people expected. He was a pretty good, first and second read quarterback in college and stuff like that. That's great. He's really athletic, right? He was actually one of the most efficient running quarterbacks a couple of years ago, which is something I think a lot of us overlooked, but he was actually extremely good at that. He's got a decent arm. Like, those are all qualities. We could all talk about that. We could talk about, the problems that he's had, like under pressure. It doesn't matter. Kevin O'Connell's going to figure it out. I'm done caring about whether or not he made a wrong move at quarterback. They're all right moves. Excellent. Nick Mullins is the most efficient quarterback in the NFL. Chew on it.
And by the way, if Sam Darnold gets hurt, Nick Mullins is still going in.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think this has any effect at all on the 2024 season. I think you're literally just bringing and Daniel Jones. I think he just wanted like a schwanky place to hang out. I'm pretty sure he's just here for the smoothie bar. Like, we're just vibing right now. And
right. Yeah. The state of the art cryo facility. Yeah. Let's hang out.
yeah, he's just chilling now. He doesn't have to do anything at all. We're just trying to figure it out, and then we'll go into the off season, right? He'll figure out if they want to, do this like QB competition with JJ McCarthy if he wants to go do that this off season, or someone can give him a crazy bit of money for a starting job. He can figure all that out later. Right now, smoothie bar, a good holiday weekend, life's good.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got some homies in the building too. He's gonna hang out with someone. It'll be fine.
Yeah, Jihad Ward. Former Giants
teammate?
teammate?
Jihad Ward. I was trying to think of a former Giant. Very good. Good, immaculate grid work there. The high-end backups in the league last contract period. Jacoby Brissett, who was like a hybrid starter, right? Paid $8 million for 1 year. If you view Gardner Minshew that way, in Vegas, it was $12.5 million. Daniel Jones might be looking for that kind of money. Sam Darnold made $10 million. I think he was probably going to be a starter all along. But Daniel Jones, 1 year, high-end backup to J.J. McCarthy, who would probably be the favorite to win that job. You're laying the groundwork for something. And this might actually be a little 4D chess on Kwesi and KOC's part to get him in here. He is not – I predict he will not play a snap for this team unless Week 18 in Detroit, would you play him if
Oh, it's
all seeding
meaningless?
is decided.
Oh,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I honestly would.
Yeah.
You gotta. What are you gonna do? A Nick Mullins game? We know what we got there.
Yeah, we know exactly what Nick Mullins is. Not that we get a ton out of games where we rest starters. We learned that catastrophically in Chicago a couple weeks ago or years ago. But fine, do it. That sounds like fun. Also, Sam, I just feel like 4D chess is a little. This feels like normal 2D chess. I think it's normal to sign a guy to see what he has, and then decide that
Just
you're
feel him
gonna.
out.
Yeah, it's fine. But no, I think that your point about setting him up for like maybe a 10 million-ish contract as a potential starter, that one makes sense. I think it actually makes a little bit more sense considering how little people think of this year's quarterback class. Last year it would have been a little bit more difficult to get people to sign, bridge quarterback. Still happened. Obviously, the Vikings did it. But now I think that the market is going to be even better for that kind of thing because there's not as many first-round quarterbacks. People aren't going to just kind of go all in on a rookie. And so having a guy, I don't know if it's going to be Daniel Jones. I have a feeling it might be, but I think that makes sense. It should be noted that he has like a $375,000 practice squad contract. It's not like a normal practice squad contract. It's like real business.
It's only 6 games of it though, so you still don't end up paying all that much.
Yeah, it's like a prorated on the cat. Yeah.
And I think his contract with the Giants, I think the way it like guarantees and offset language and all that stuff, if he does end up on the active roster, that does carry like money worth paying attention to. So, something to know.
It's so bizarre that the guy that beat you in the playoffs 2 years ago got paid $160 million.
It wasn't even that long
He's
ago.
now on your practice squad. Not even 2 full years. It was literally 2023 when that happened.
Right,
it's short enough ago where all the draft picks from that year that are getting cut, it's like crazy that they're getting cut so soon.
Right. Yeah. It's whenever we talked about whenever people talk about like great historical events, you always get a reminder like, oh my gosh, this happened, and it's in living memory. There are people who are alive who still remember it. The football version of that is Daniel Jones having demolished the Vikings and then 2 years later showing up on the practice squad. In living memory, there are people on that
in living memory of every kindergartner.
The practice squad. Yeah.
Who was on that defense that got smoked? There's not that many holdovers. Harrison Phillips, Harrison Smith.
Yeah. I believe
Cam Dantzler.
Yeah, Eric Kendricks. Somebody, I think it was maybe Evans. I know this happened against the Lions, but
Evans,
Saquon Barkley cooked totally juked someone out of his shoes. Was it? I remember the guy I was maddest at though was DJ Wanham. Because Dalvin Tomlinson actually kind of had a crazy game, and it didn't matter because he couldn't set the edge.
Mm-hmm. Embarrassing that you lost to the Giants in the playoffs, and the guy that did it to you is Daniel Jones and not Saquon Barkley, after seeing what Saquon is doing right now. What?
It was kind of Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, Barkley cooked. Barkley cooked. I mean, he was
a big part of it.
They fed off each other for sure.
In the folklore, it's the Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
okay, because the folklore, the arc of folklore bends toward humor.
Way. Yeah.
Yeah. At home, too. At home. At the
brutal.
Yeah.
Keys to kiboshing Kyler next. We'll also have our Week 13 FanDuel bets coming up later in the show. Some big payouts last week. If you're tailing us, you would have cashed in on some TJ Hawkinson props. New customers right now can make a $5 bet, and if it hits, you get $150 in bonus bets if that wins. So when you have a hunch before the game, or during the game for that matter, you can cash it in FanDuel.com or the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's America's #1 sportsbook. The Vikings are favored by about 3.5 against Arizona. Seems like a pretty favorable line for the Vikings at home. If you want to jump on that, we'll let you know how we think about that during the FanDuel pick segment coming up. But again, never waste a hunch. Bet 5, get 150 if the $5 bet wins at FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Keys to beating the Cardinals. They come in at 6-5. They are tied for the NFC West lead, and they were pretty hapless against Seattle last Sunday. They lost 16-6. This is not a team with a lot of flash, to be honest with you. Kyler is a big name and super talented. Marvin Harrison Jr., and I'm sure Luke Inman, you probably have some takes on this because you've been watching him closely on your Dynasty fantasy team. You talk to me about him every time. Marvin Harrison has been a good rookie receiver. there's not a lot of other sexy pieces on this Cardinals team, but they've been solid this year.
Yeah, I think that, for me, I went to this last Viking Cardinal game in 2022. And again, like we just joked about this Giants Viking playoff game, like a lot has happened from now on. That this is not the same Cardinal team, nor is it the same Viking team by any means. I remember that game, DeAndre Hopkins, it was like you knew the ball was going to him every other throw. They've done a good job, and somewhat rather quickly in just 2 years, building around Kyler Murray. I mean, Trey McBride's an absolute beast. I know he has 0 touchdowns. Don't let that fool you. He's been that perfect safety blanket for him. And then, they used a top 5 pick on Marvin Harrison, who, he hasn't had the monster production I maybe thought he would have right away, but he's also been asked to do a lot of things as that like true number 1 X receiver with the full route tree. He's got a lot on his plate. So, the big thing you can tell when you watch this team, and especially when you look at the offensive statistics too, you're right, not very flashy, kind of middle of the road in most things, except running the ball. They clearly want to establish the run. They want to win in the trenches, 140 rush yards per game. That's kind of their bread and butter. That is the thing they kind of build off with Kyler. And Kyler's been a lot more efficient too. I mean, his big-time throw rate this year's at 5.3%, but he's got all these explosives, and yet he's not turnover-worthy plays, I should say, is down to 2.2%. So he all of a sudden in the past couple of years just feels like a little bit more complete, kind of efficient, like real NFL quarterback all of a sudden. 2-3 weeks ago, I remember they stomped the Jets. He was like 22 of 24. It was like a 92% completion percentage with over 11 yards per attempt, too. So he's been very efficient, but it all kind of revolves around the run game. And I think you got to feel good about that if you're the Vikings. You finally come back home, get to play with this crowd noise, number 1 run defense. You got to stop James Conner, though, because he's still one of the more, for some reason, underrated, not sexy running backs in the league. Yeah. But again, they're averaging 140 yards on the ground. So statistically, everywhere else, offensively, points per game, yards per game, pass yards per game, they're all pretty average at best. Third down percentage, I think they're 11th best in the league, a little over 40%. But outside of that, it's just running the ball. If you can stop that run game, and again, James Conner's a tank to bring down, but this offense is kind of built on, we're going to be the more physical team up front every week. And if you can stop that and put them in check, you put Kyler in some 3rd and longs, again, get this U.S. Bank crowd noise back for the first time, that's when he starts making some mistakes and looking like the old Kyler we saw 2 years ago.
Yeah, James Conner, 7 years as a legitimate starter in this league, and people never talk about him. He's been super feast or famine this year, and he's definitely feasted a couple games, and he's been shut out in a couple games. That offensive
It's like
line,
the last 4 Frank Gore years. It's like everybody was like, oh, okay, he's not going to do it again. He's too old. He got banged up last year. He's not going to do it again. And he just does it again every year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's interesting the way the Cardinals approach this, like kind of through their run game, because that's why they lost in Seattle, is that they could not get that going at all, that their offensive line completely fell apart, and in protection they fell apart. But yeah, this is not the same Kyler Murray we saw in 2021 that was all improv and running around and crazy and everything like that. He still has that, and he can still kill you with it, but he has developed a lot of other ways to kill you too. And I think that's why Arizona's had a much better year than I think a lot of people expected of them. But I think I was talking to Alex Clancy of Locked On Cardinals, because we recorded our crossover early enough where I can still kind of draw on it for this. And it's, a lot of it will come down to what happens in the trenches. I think the Vikings' best path to winning is winning right there in the middle against those against those interior O-line, Jonathan Bullard, Harrison Phillips, guys doing exactly what they did last week, which was dominant. If that can happen again, then the Vikings are looking really good. But the other thing about the Cardinals is on defense, their secondary has been playing really physically and really kind of strong ball in the back end. And that is like exactly the kind of secondary that the Vikings have struggled the most with.
Yeah, Budda Baker's been Budda Baker. Garrett Williams, I mean, he's I don't know statistically, but he feels like one of the better nickel slot, inside cover corners, and big too, to your point, physical for sure.
Yeah, that was the guy Clancy mentioned the most, was Garrett Williams.
Did he mention Leonard Williams from Seattle, how he just destroyed Arizona's trenches last week?
Where he just had like a suddenly
hopped off, the highlights.
The game we expected from him.
Dominant. Yeah.
So I want to add on to kind of the stuff that we were saying offensively. James Conner is one of the league leaders in broken tackles, both on receptions actually, and as a pure rusher. He kind of is a league leader in both categories among running backs. He's remarkable. He actually kind of reminds me of the way that people would not talk that much about the Bears version of David Montgomery, who consistently led the league in like broken tackles, and the Bears just like weren't a very offensively efficient team, so no one really cared that much about David Montgomery, and the offensive line wasn't there to kind of help support him. But James Conner, obviously in a different point in his career than Montgomery was then, he is doing that. He's doing a really excellent job of running through people. His contact balance is outstanding. And that's going to be, I think, the greater challenge for the Vikings than it is, the offensive line, which, they're suffering from like a Will Hernandez injury, right? I don't know that they're getting as much out of some of the guys that they got back from injury. They're not getting as much, I think, out of Paris Johnson necessarily as they want. Not that he's a bad player or anything like that, but I'd pick, you kind of want a little bit more. But Connor's doing a really, really remarkable job. To Braun's point about Kyler Murray, there were a lot of weird statistical spikes for him from year to year where he would like lead the league in a category you'd expect him to lead in, whether it was, high volatility plays, which is like combining big time throws, turnover worthy plays, or time in pocket or deep ball percentage. He is average in all of these categories this year, and in a way that has helped produce fairly efficient football. And like Luke says, there are moments where he's going to be really incredible, do a bunch of great stuff in the backfield and, kill you that way. But it is really, they're not building the offense out of it. One thing to kind of note though, Marvin Harrison's not having a, 1,300-yard season, or at least he's not on pace for anything like that. He is playing really well. He's a really volatile receiver in terms of production. And I think it's just they kind of game plan around, what they can get away with. They do a ton of 12 and 13 personnel, a ton of it, which is, so we see a lot of Tip Ryman on the field. He's a blocking tight end that, was an incredible blocker at Illinois. He's really incredible right now as a run blocker, and they're adding him to the passing game. But obviously, like Trey McBride is like kind of where a lot of that passing game comes from. And I think when they've got a run heavy personnel out there, they don't actually have Marvin Harrison necessarily in the field. They might have Michael Wilson, who, if you remember, had that like really outstanding catch. I want to say last week, a couple days ago. He's really great at like deep ball tracking and stuff like that, but he's like their run blocking receiver. And so that's like one reason is that sometimes the personnel package doesn't put their outstanding wide receiver out there. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. They're really run focused. They're really run package focused, and they beat you for focusing on the run with their tight end, not with their receiver. So that's something to kind of, keep track of. Maybe this is going to be a game where Josh Metellus has to like clamp up a tight end or something like that. So that's something to keep in mind. Defensively, Buda Baker's great. We're seeing some really good stuff from Garrett Wilson, like you mentioned, but I don't know about the rest of that secondary. They've got an injury at safety. Jalen Thompson, I think, is injured, so they're bringing the rookie Darian something. He's a long hyphenated name. I don't know anything about him. I don't think he's played that much on the field this year, but I expect that's going to be an area where the offense is going to exploit things. And then I don't know. The linebackers are whatever. Their top two edge rushers are injured, right? So that's an area where they probably could be a little, because it was BJ Ojulari and Dennis Gardeck, I think, are the two IR guys. They traded for a guy, right? So it's not as if
there's not a lot of name recognition on that defense. Like I said, it's not a sexy looking roster, but they're in the mix.
The defense is not that
well.
It's just they've got some individually good. Yeah.
They had, I think, they had close to, if not the most draft picks of any team this year, too. Like the Tip Rymans. Of course, you got the Marvin Harrisons at the top, but there's a lot of these guys that over the next couple of years, some of them will pan out, will become a little bit more bigger names, around the league, and then some of them obviously won't pan out. But right now, it's like, okay, we got a lot of guys. We don't really know who is part of the long-term plan yet, who's going to develop into, kind of staples and part of that core nucleus, and who's just here for maybe a year or two kind of flyer situation. One other thing I will just bring up, I don't know Cam Robinson's kind of status right now. I don't think we're going to know anything maybe until actual kickoff or maybe the day before. But I'm also just thinking about this offensive line quite a bit. It's just in the back of my mind. You got Dalton Reisner in there now, so that's still somewhat of a new face. And I just think, obviously there's just a lot of moving pieces. And Questenberry looked fine last week, but now if he's got to start, you got two newer guys in the mix. And, can they continue to look functional on the offensive line, both in the run and the pass? I mean, that's just kind of a lot to ask. It's just kind of a big wild card that, again, I'm just kind of thinking about in the back of my mind. I know Xavier Collins, if you had to pick one guy in the front seven or as their edge rusher, Xavier Collins is probably the one guy you gotta have eyes on every drop back, because he's probably the most consistent pass rusher that can kind of get into the backfield in a hurry if you're not paying attention. So just in the back of my mind, I'm not worried about the offensive line. But is Cam Robinson going to play? If he does play, how does he look? Is he mobile? Is he agile? Is he limited in any way? And if it's Questenberry, then obviously you're probably going to have to help him out somewhat throughout the game as well.
Yeah, something to watch for sure as Ron Johnson joins the show. He's at 3Ron Johnson on X, host of the Ron Johnson Show. Ron, let's get it out of the way. Daniel Jones signed to the Vikings practice squad. Your reaction?
Well, the Giants owe him a lot of money. So when you think about the Giants and what they owe him, it's a smart move for the Vikings. You also get I think it's a pick if something happens. I didn't read the whole language of it, but I know they get like a comp pick if something happens. But when you think about,
I'm looking into that in detail right now.
When you look at the $100,000 on practice squad that they would owe him, that means the Giants have to pay him $11.7 million to sit on somebody else's practice squad and get better. Imagine having an apprentice. And you're like, look, you can come be our apprentice and we're still going to pay you. You're going to get paid by your old company. I think that's the best case scenario for Daniel Jones, also for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, if something were to happen, because we've seen Sam Darnold get dinged up or nicked up, I feel comfortable with Daniel Jones taking them down the stretch more so than I do with Nick Mullins. And I think that's the other part of this that people keep forgetting. I know everybody wants to be like, oh, Nick Mullins, he's come in, he's been pretty good. We've seen Nick Mullins last year. Like we've seen what he can be, and it's not lead your team to an NFC championship. Daniel Jones has won a playoff game. Like he's won an NFL playoff game. So I granted it's against the Minnesota Vikings. But I will say, like, you have to understand that Kevin O'Connell is 10 times smarter than the entire Giants front office when it comes to offensive play calling and offensive scheme. The fact that you let Saquon Barkley go and now the guy you paid millions and millions of dollars to, you let him walk out the door and now you still have to pay him. I mean, it's just an ineptitude of that franchise of like, they need to just fire everybody. Like if I were them, I would fire everybody. The best case scenario, and I tweeted this out just a minute ago, was Vikings, Eagles, NFC Championship game. Daniel Jones gets a chance to come in garbage time. Saquon Barkley rushes for 180 yards. Vikings still win, and the Giants never sleep again. Like I just like I would sit back and just love to see one of their two guys have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And the Giants could have had, I mean, honestly, I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy they wanted anyway, but they could have had Saquon Barkley. And that's what's so funny about this. But again, if Kevin O'Connell makes him look halfway decent, even in practices, and like he maybe 4 games down the road, he becomes the backup quarterback and move to the active roster, you got to look at, because we've talked about this before, development of quarterback in the NFL. It's a problem with some of these organizations.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Luke Inman, what do you got?
Yeah, Ron, let's take it one step further. Where are you on the Sam Darnold potentially returning and being the starting quarterback for the Vikings in 2025? And I guess, does bringing in Daniel Jones change anything in your mind in that equation, I guess, now as well?
Yeah, so it's going to come down to Daniel Jones, what the Giants still owe him, what the Vikings, because I guarantee he wants to be petty too. He's like, look, I will play for you guys for the league minimum just to make the Giants pay me out the rest of my money. And so if he's able to even do that as a backup to J.J. McCarthy, and now if J.J. McCarthy doesn't have a great start or season or whatever, Daniel Jones can come in after learning from KLC. Again, I go back to Josh Dobbs. He makes Josh Dobbs look like a superstar for about 2 to 3 weeks. And so there's no doubt in my mind, Daniel Jones has the talent. He has the legs to run. He has the arm strength. I just don't think he had the mental capacity to handle some of the things that the NFL throws at you, and he didn't have a staff that could help him get better. But again, he beat Brian Flores' defense. Like, he was able to beat Brian Flores. So there's something to it up here. but can Kevin O'Connell give them everything else? And never forget, mental health is huge. Like, who knows what was going on with him, what was weighing on him, how they were, what was going on. Like, we just don't know. And again, a fresh start sometimes is better than people understand for players, because mentally you can unpack all the issues you had. But yeah, I'm fine with Sam Darnold walking now. I am. I could see JJ McCarthy coming in as a quote unquote draft starter, Daniel Jones as his backup. Nick Mullins gets to fight, but he probably is gone too. And then they go draft maybe a number 3, like in the 7th round or 6th round, or pick up somebody. But I could easily see I'd be fine with the JJ McCarthy, Daniel Jones QB room.
Let me just quick follow up. Right before that, 24 hours ago, were you on the Sam Darnold reuniting again in 2025? Bring him back no matter how much he costs, or were you kind of in limbo on that?
No, not how much not however much he costs. I think Sam and I talked about this before. I think my number was probably 20-ish million. Because you know what you get out of him. You don't know what you're going to get out of JJ McCarthy. And so, and I know Sam Darnold doesn't want to come back and be a backup. So that's the thing. It's like, could you get him for a 1-year deal, give JJ McCarthy a full healthy season to be a backup quarterback and learn under Kevin O'Connell, and then play in year 3? I'd have been fine with that. But I think having Daniel Jones gives you a little bit more flexibility now that you can roll the dice with JJ McCarthy. Because again, you don't want to waste Justin Jefferson. That's the key to this. Like, you only have so much time with Justin Jefferson and TJ Hockenson, and you don't want to waste any of that. And I think that's the other side of this.
All right, so let's imagine you're in a situation that Kevin O'Connell was in with last year, where he was forced to play Joshua Dobbs because of a sudden injury to the backup quarterback who had to be in the game, or whatever, right? So Daniel Jones is in the game. Nick Mullins is hurt. Sam Darnold is hurt, whatever, right? Do you run your normal offense, or do you try to like build out something that takes a little bit more advantage of his legs mid-game, right? Obviously you can't, install an RPO offense like in the week before because you didn't expect him to play. So how do you kind of adapt to that, knowing that his skill set is a little bit different than the Nick Mullins skill set or the Sam Darnold skill set?
Yeah. So one, I go quick game. I've talked about this in all levels of football, NFL, college, high school. So many people have gotten away from just the basic, how football was created, how Megatron and Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens and even Randy Moss got 90% of their growth was hitches, slants, out routes, curl routes. So often now in the NFL, everybody wants to come up with these schemes to run deep overs with a dagger and all this other stuff, and a deep post with a dagger. I mean, everybody's trying to reinvent the wheel. And if you look at a lot of Megatron stuff, it was quick fades, it was fade stops, it was back shoulder throws. I get the league has changed, but if I'm Kevin O'Connell and I have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson, and I got Aaron Jones, I can run the ball, I am going to do a little bit more play action probably with Daniel Jones, because that gives him a chance to maybe have a chance to run if the linebackers bail. I'm going to maybe do a little rollout to have him get out of the pocket a little bit and use his ability to like run or pass. So like, hey, get out of the pocket. If you see it, just keep going. If you have the throw, dump it off to the tight end or hit the deep over. But again, I'm going to give him some hitches. I'm going to give him some slants. I'm going to give him some at the line stuff where like I'm going to teach him to see like, hey, if the DB is back 10 yards, don't be afraid to, tap your helmet, which means, hey, JJ, you got a smoke route or 1-step or 2-step. We're just going to get it to you right now. I would try to get the ball out of his hands as quick as possible. Go back to Eli Manning with the Giants when he played against Mike Zimmer. That was their game plan versus Mike Zimmer. Get the ball out of your hands as fast as humanly possible. If you have to throw it into the ground, don't take a sack because they feed off of sacks and strip sacks. That's where I would treat Daniel Jones. I would not give him a ton to think about. I would say, here's your 2 possible plays. Here's the 2 looks you want to see. And then honestly, like, again, Josh Jacobs is extremely smart. We know that. But I would assume, even though Daniel Jones looks dumb, I would assume he's kind of smart. He plays the Disney high school kid that everybody thinks is just a dumb jock, and he's really actually kind of smart. So I wouldn't put it past him that he could grasp that information. I just don't think a team's ever really given him a ton of information. Like the Giants, I don't think I don't know. I really don't know. I'm confused by seeing Saquon Barkley doing what he's doing, because to me, that just feels like an organization that really had no idea. And the signing of Daniel Jones' big contract even was like a knee-jerk reaction, because I don't think anybody else would offer them that deal. So I don't know why they felt like they had to.
Yeah, the Daniel Jones record, if you take out 2022, is 1538. It's not good at all.
That's not a $200 million quarterback.
No. Luke Braun, what do you got?
What a contract here. So last week,
and that was
Justin
after,
Jefferson.
and if I'm not mistaken, sorry, Luke, but that was after he beat the Vikings, right? When he got the contract, wasn't that the next year?
Yeah, immediately after.
Yeah.
Right in the wake of all of that hype.
Yeah.
So the Vikings receivers caught a lot of physical coverage against the Bears. Jalen Johnson in particular played really physical. They set things up so that he could play physical. And the Cardinals like to operate things the same way. So my question is, as a receiver, what are some of the tricks of the trade to kind of get around physical coverage, especially like off of the release?
Yeah, so there's no way around it, man. So I used to try to talk to receivers about this. I train receivers every once in a while from college and a couple older, younger guys, high school. And it's like pressure. You either subscribe to it or you apply it. Like if you're going to subscribe to the pressure, you're going to let this DB dictate what you're doing. If you apply the pressure, you're going to make him be on the defensive. And again, I was bigger. I was 6'3", 230 when I played, 225.
Yep. What if you're Jordan Addison size?
Yeah.
So my thought was always, I'm going to put my hand through his face. Now, I know you can't do that anymore. You can't head slap. You can't, do the head whip and grab. And I've talked to
George
Keenan
Pickens
McCardell.
tries.
He tries. He's crazy. But I talked to Keenan McCardell about this. And the one thing a guy like Jordan Addison can do, because I even asked about JJ, same thing, because they're both kind of slimmer receivers. You apply the pressure with your feet. So meaning you come off so quick, don't stand still, because the DB's taught now, if he's not gaining ground, you don't need to do anything. You come off so quick with your feet that he has to dictate and tell you what he wants to do, and then you counter. Now, this is like karate, for instance. Like if one guy punches, you got to have a counter punch. If this guy swings, you got to have a counter swing. And that's why it's funny. People talked about Everson Griffin taking karate classes and doing martial arts and all this other crazy stuff. It actually is a part of football. Like if you think about punch and jab and move, punch, jab, move, and like counters.
It's like pass rushing.
Correct. And for a receiver, you have to have a counter. So if he jabs with that, like you have to, like we would always teach, split his body with that right foot or left foot. If he moves, you try to look at the ref. If he moves, he's giving it away. He's like, if you split him and he tries to move to get back into a spot, he's telling you what he doesn't want you to do. So then you attack what he doesn't want with your feet. And you see Justin Jefferson do that a lot. Like he moves them one way to come back the other. And that's how you counter that pressure. The other thing too, honestly, is you got to stay in contact with that referee and point to let them know, hey, I'm on the line, but get back as far as possible without being illegal. And that's the other thing a lot of young receivers don't do is have that conversation with the ref ahead of time. Like, hey man, I'm gonna point at you. You got to let me know if I'm off, man. Don't throw me out to the wolves. I think that was the Washington Commanders game where McLaurin, I think, pointed. Guy said he was on and he still threw the flag. It's like, if I point, you tell me I'm good. You can't throw a flag on me. And so, again, that's the other thing, too. I always tell receivers, watch where he's at. If he's leaning, just take a half step back, point to the ref again and make sure you're good. And now you create a little bit more distance. So if he quick jams you, you got space. If he tries to lunge, you can move. But it's 100% counter, man. You can't get away from it. And that's why guys like, Darrelle Revis back in the day and Sauce Gardner tries to do with his long arms, they want to get their hands on you to slow you down. You got to be able to counter. And some guys never can get off the jam, and that's why they don't make it. It's just they end up becoming slot receivers. They're like, look, we can't put you on the inline. Let's put them in the slot and motion them. And honestly, think about Tyreek Hill. That's why Tyreek Hill doesn't play on the line. He's always moving as much as possible because he's not a guy that's great at getting off the jam.
Ron, in closing, what is the first bite that you will consume for your Thanksgiving meal tomorrow?
So not breakfast, the dinner, right? We're talking dinner.
Well, yeah, the
right.
big meal. What's the first thing that you're going to go for?
You know what? I'm 72% vegetarian, so I don't eat meat Monday through Friday. Pretty much, it's mainly just vegetables. So I do kind of gravitate to we're gonna have asparagus with bacon and Parmesan cheese. Brussels sprouts. My wife does a Brussels sprout in the slow cooker, so it's ridiculously good with this sauce. And then macaroni and cheese. But of course, I got to do the turkey. But see, I do a turkey, so I personally make my own batch of bacon. I hide it in a little aluminum foil for me, and I'm taking the biscuit with some turkey, bacon, little macaroni and cheese, little greens, and I'm making like a little sandwich. So that's the first thing I'm putting together. Because when I come out with the bacon too, everybody's looking around like, wait, where do you get bacon from? Like I make it tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. So after breakfast is done, I'll go back and I'll make one more thing of bacon for myself, put it in aluminum foil, hide it, and then I pull it out when it's time to make.
After breakfast is done, I make secret bacon.
I make a secret batch of bacon, put it to the side, and then because I put bacon on everything, I put bacon on top of my macaroni and cheese as a top garnish. I put it on top of my asparagus. I'll put it on top of the whatchamacallit, the Brussels sprouts. So I put it on everything. So and then I put it on top of the turkey with biscuit, little cheese, macaroni, and greens. I actually saw this on a show. That's where I got that idea from. It was like a cooking show, and they were making there was like a ridiculous sandwich, and it had all that on it. So after that, I was like, oh, I got to try this, and it works. It really works. It's delicious.
Bacon's versatile. I'm salivating already. Good stuff, Ron. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Sam, are you cooking though, or who's cooking at your house?
We are going to a friend's house where most of the food will be provided. So we're off.
You're not bringing anything?
Wife will bring something.
Wife.
Yep. But
and as I say, Luke Braun, do they do Thanksgiving in LA, or is it still
Good question.
Just
it's America. Yeah. It's yes.
Is it?
It's about halfway Mexico, but that's not important.
I just feel like LA is so posh. It's just like you got.
Oh no, there's Thanksgiving for sure. I'll be with just my dad and my stepmom. It'll just be the three of us, and me and my stepmom will make dinner.
The Kerrygold butter is actually made out of gold. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
yeah.
And I will be partaking in that. I'll tell you
what. I just feel like they have champagne brunches for Thanksgiving in LA. Like that's what it feels like.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, that's
he's
good.
not revealing his secrets.
Right, he's got purple.
It's like Ron doesn't reveal where his bacon is.
Oh yeah, no, I got a special hidden spot in my in-laws' house. Like nobody knows about it. I'm not even
the secret bacon.
It's a secret bacon hidden. You gotta hide it, man. It's gonna be like my in-laws.
I'm gonna adopt that. Secret bacon is an incredible
secret bacon spot. My sister-in-law is here, her daughter, my cousin, her kid, and then my mother-in-law's sister and her family are coming. So it's a lot of people. You gotta hide the bacon.
Enjoy your family, Ron. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you on the postcast on Sunday.
Looking forward to it. Hopefully, Vikings 10-2. When's the last time they've been 10-2?
2022.
Did they get to 10-2 2 years ago? I think they did.
Yeah, they did.
2 years ago.
I think they did.
Yeah.
And then the wheels fell off.
Yeah. They ended up 13. They only lost 2 other games.
What was the bad thing that year though? Oh, it was just the playoff.
Yeah, the playoff. I mean, they lost after they were 10-2. They lost. Well, 2 of those 4 losses were the Cowboys blowout and then the Lambeau.
Cooper Rush. Yep. I forgot about Cooper Rush.
Lions.
Yeah,
they lost to the Lions.
Then we got the Peter Bukowski DVOA rant.
The DVOA Bowl. Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
To dig that one out of the archives. All right, good stuff. At 3 Ron Johnson. Thanks a lot, Ron.
Appreciate it.
Great stuff. We're going to pivot to our Thanksgiving food draft after a quick word. Brought to you today by Game Time. If you want tickets in your market. So if it's the Twin Cities market, get to Target Center, get to XL Energy Center, get to US Bank Stadium, go to the Vikes game. Check out Game Time picks on the Game Time app. It's the curation feature that filters out the fluff, shows you incredible deals so you don't have to waste time. Game Time is simple to use, just a couple clicks and you've got ticks. All-in pricing, toggle it on so there's no hidden fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat. The Game Time, our lowest price guarantee at Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find better seats. And they've got the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Game time.
There it is. I needed some participation there.
You got it.
Macho Meach has it in the comments. Thanks, Macho. We're going to do the Thanksgiving draft before we do FanDuel picks because we do have a hard out at noon Central. So let me share the screen here with our Thanksgiving food draft board. Again, I was the Halloween champion. Just want to remind folks that it was a very tight race, but I did get the win over Luke Braun.
Who had the 1-1? I always
Don't
like
worry
to
about
know
it.
who had
I
the
think
1-1.
Arif had it in
Don't
blue.
worry.
We don't got to worry about it.
That's all I need to know.
You know, the first round of that, because it was just three different Reese's things. I think it was all pretty samey. I think that one was determined more in the middle. You know, the kind of day two.
Yeah,
of the draft.
well, I mean, the fact that the first round of that was all Reese's, probably I should have anticipated that and include me in not to take my favorite candy at 1-1 is the lesson. Got to be more strategic.
We're displaying the draft board here. If you're watching on YouTube, if you are, we appreciate that. We're also on the Locked On Vikings audio feed. We will vote on X to deem the winner. Blind vote. You don't know who you're voting for. You're voting for a team. There are 2 entrees, 2 sides, a dessert, and a flex. I have given suggestions here on the board. You do not have to vote off of my board. This is just a guide to give ideas. Now, entrees are going to be a little bit slim here. So let's just point that out early that I think we have 8 picks that will be entrees, and I've only listed about 10. So with that, I think, how do we determine who gets 1-1 here?
You got to move mac and cheese to sides. I'm sorry. That's wrong.
See, I moved it to entree because it felt like we were just so shy on entrees.
No, we're going to have to make up our own entrees if we want to go off it. Mac and cheese is a side. I'm sorry.
All right. I had it inside and moved it, and you've called me out. So let's go in order of gambling standings. I think that's the most objective measure, wouldn't you say?
Objective.
So 1-1 is Luke Inman. I get number 2. Arif gets number 3. Luke Braun gets 4, which isn't a terrible disadvantage because you get the
the snake, but I kind of feel like there's a clear top 3 and then a big fall off. Too bad.
Yeah, right. I didn't actually want the 1-1 because I feel like I've done this before and I went chalk, and I know much to Arif's chagrin and his disdain for turkey, I went white meat turkey, and I'm probably going to do the same again. But the voting came out and it was not very good. But I just don't know. I don't understand what I'm supposed to do with this 1-1 outside of white meat turkey. Is it ham?
Hey, you and the
Is
Carolina
that the right
Panthers,
answer? Huh? Is it beef tenderloin? I'm going to go white meat turkey, but I'm just letting you know right now. I don't like it, and it didn't work out for me great last time. So
you didn't have to. Okay, fine. By all means.
No.
All right, that puts me at number 2. Yeah, again, the meal, the essence of the meal is the sides and possibly the dessert. The entree really does not make the meal, in my opinion. But so actually, I don't love the value on entrees. I think we got to start with the sides. And we're going to go with some, this is hard. This is really hard. Let's go with just the classic mashed potatoes and gravy.
Not happy about this.
Oh, boy.
Arif is
We're
next.
off to an immediately controversial start.
Oh, God. Jesus
Like,
Christ.
it's interesting right off the bat. Mel Kiper would be losing his mind.
I am so... Dude, you got the best guard in the draft, man.
You just got Chance Warmack. You just got Chance Warmack at 7, man. Wow.
It's like a Penei Sewell pick. It's just, that's just going to carry you solid.
Yeah. God damn.
For a decade now.
You got Quentin Nelson, man. I'm kicked.
Mm-hmm.
F it. I'll have stuffing.
Well, thankfully, the top 3 did not go the way I thought. I didn't think white meat turkey would go 1-1.
Yeah.
I didn't even think if you were going to pick a turkey first, that would be the turkey that you'd pick.
Really? Yeah. Huh. No.
Yeah.
Last time you picked white meat turkey, I went off on why that made no sense at all, and you're like, I just like it.
I can't be the only one who thinks white meat turkey is 1-1 worthy. There's just no way.
You are.
I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure.
Yeah,
but...
there's a theoretical world you can find someone in America. Yeah, no, for sure.
If you have a good gravy, white meat turkey is delicious.
It's fine.
Yeah, which I'm also I think I remember in the past gravy was a separate item, but
I think pairing
that would
it
be
with
tough
mashed
to just take potatoes
makes a
with
ton
no
of sense.
gravy.
It just really makes it like I think we have to assume that the other items with gravy are gonna have a little bit of gravy with them.
Like stuffing
Otherwise-
also would have gravy.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, mashed
Yeah.
potatoes would be insanely overpowered here.
Well, I guess I'll take mac and cheese. Nice crowd pleaser. That was the other one that I didn't think mac and cheese would fall. I didn't think I'd get one of my top 3, so I'm pretty happy with that.
That was the correct expectation. White meat turkey going 1-1 again was a choice.
And now I'm trying to go with I'm trying to play the hits. I'm trying to go classic.
That'll win you these contests.
That's what I'm going for. But I feel like all the classics that I'm looking at here are huge reaches.
That's a problem.
So I'm gonna take ham.
Ham.
All right.
Do you want to pizzazz that up a bit? Do you want to make it like
I would like CJ Ham.
That'll get you an extra couple votes for sure.
Yeah,
I would say for sure. That's actually not. I know you're joking, but
I'm campaigning,
you'll
baby.
get more votes.
Don't screenshot with the CJ Ham when you put out the poll.
I won't. I won't. Just a moment of levity, Arif. Have some humor in your life.
No.
No, ham. I mean, I could put it like I could say like honeyed ham or something, or like candied ham or something like that. But I think just straight up ham. It's ham. It's simple. Much like a fullback, we don't need frills.
Yeah. God, I'm in. The ones I want are probably reaches. Just like what,
There's a big
Thomas
talent
said.
cliff here.
Yeah. I think I went this direction last time or 2 years ago, and it wasn't nearly the crowd pleaser I thought it was. I really thought it was a huge crowd pleaser, but I think I'm going to do it anyway because I like it a lot. And it's pumpkin pie. And I feel like that is just, it's fine for that to be a classic that people love. And people had like some really, I'm not going to say weird takes, but they had some strong takes about how good it is, which I was shocked by, but I'm going with it.
Real quick, can I make
Certainly-
a suggestion here? Since we're kind of up against the clock, that we hold off on our picks since none of the Vikings props are even out yet anyways.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I like that.
That's okay. Well, yeah, we can
Give us
report
time to really
those.
do this right.
Yep, I'm with you on that. We do have a bit of a time crunch, so my second pick is going to be to go with mashed potatoes and gravy. I think that beef tenderloin's a really good fit, so we're gonna go a little beef tendy with pick number 7.
Beef tendy. Okay.
All right,
Boy.
Inman.
Back to back, I got no sides, so that's good. That'll give me a couple votes for sure. And I think I did this last time too, where you all battered me for white meat turkey, and then I took dark meat turkey on top of it, and I don't think that turned out very good either.
The handcuff.
to be honest. Yeah,
The
the
turkey
handcuff.
But that is
That's
feels good,
RG3-1-1 and taking Kirk Cousins in round 4. What were you going to say? I need your feedback because now I'm in my head. So
No, I love that. Go for it. That makes sense.
Okay.
Do what your heart tells you to do.
Let's go. I might have to get creative here at the end here and just start ripping some stuff off that is not on this list. I got to have some sort of potatoes. Give me the chicken pot pie and give me twice baked potatoes. Do you have that on there? You got baked potatoes. But
Chicken
just put
Twice
in,
baked is a different thing.
put in twice baked potatoes, please.
That's good.
Twice
That's
baked potatoes.
very nice.
That's good.
Might have to get a little creative here.
All right. Back to me. Let's toss another side on here.
Oh, the chat's talking about.
Yeah.
Chat's got good
That's
ideas.
got ideas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm on the document, I can't look at I can't see what's going on. So you guys will have to. Luke Inman, you can actually put them on the screen if you want. If there's some good ones.
Well, do we want Sam to see these or not? I feel like
I can't
you two
see
don't.
any-
I
Can we
feel like you
conspire?
two don't.
I can't
let's-
see.
Let's collude. Yeah.
because I'm on the document. We're gonna go cornbread. Classic.
Sure.
Can I add like cornbread with honey, like little drizzled honey on it?
I think. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
think
you
that's
can.
pretty much-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. You can do whatever you want.
Nice. That's pick number 10. To Arif we go.
Okay. Also, you in the document you typed green beet casserole. I just want to
What's wrong with that?
Okay.
With a hip hop vibe.
I'm gonna start reaching a little bit. I'm gonna grab rolls.
Rolls.
I still think I'm kind of reaching, but it's a reach I can deal with. I'm gonna put cranberry sauce on there now.
Yeah.
With ham.
I think that's a good pairing.
Honestly, yeah, kind of.
It's an unusual one. I don't know if I think of it, but it probably tastes good.
And for a flex, I'm gonna take the idea from the chat, and I will go with potatoes au gratin or scalloped potatoes. Let's call it scalloped potatoes.
Man, I should have just taken it from chat.
Which I would call the same dish, but yeah.
Potato, and this is your flex.
It's a good one. That's really good. I was hoping that because I was going to grab that on the bounce back.
There's a part of me that wants to put cranberry sauce in the flex, but that probably doesn't matter, does it?
It probably doesn't.
Okay. Thank you to the chat.
No, it was a good move, chat. I'll go with a lot of carbs. I mean, it's Thanksgiving. Who cares? Actually, I think. Hold on. Let me take a look at what you all have. Actually, that's fine. I'll risk that one. I'm going to go into my entrees, and I'll grab. God, I hate that I have to wait a lot. I'll grab roasted chicken.
Roasted chicken at 14th overall. I think I would like to grab an entree as well to go with beef tenderloin. You know, at 15th overall, dark meat turkey, I think, has reached a point of value. So we're going to go dark meat turkey.
It's a good pick.
I think that's good there, yeah.
All right, I'm going to go back-to-back here, get a couple more sides. Caramelized Brussels sprouts. Caramelized Brussels sprouts.
Move.
Okay.
Good move.
And then I'm going to come back with biscuits and gravy. That's biscuits and gravy. So if I just say it multiple times, you guys will let me do
biscuits and gravy.
No,
so at least I got that gravy.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
That is the thing.
Okay.
Like marketing has really become a big part of this, huh?
It kind of has, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got two more picks, a dessert and a flex. I think I'm going to lock in the dessert. So I got to resist the temptation to go pecan pie because I'm a big pecan pie fan. I don't know if that appeals to the masses. We're going to go with a more traditional apple pie at 18th overall. Arif.
Yeah, I guess I only really have to worry about the entree with Luke, so I don't really have to get my flex in yet. I'm gonna go with the prime rib roast as my entree.
Nice. I too am going off board with the entree, anyways. I'll do beef Wellington
with secret bacon. Sorry, chat added secret bacon to Brussels sprouts.
Chat's killing it. Chat's killing it. We gotta let chat be team 5 on one of these.
Chat's all over it.
Next time I'm just letting next year.
Yeah, James, Macho Meach, you guys are just making my picks for me at this point. Yeah.
I mean,
I kind of looked at the dessert and saw it as a 4-horse race. So, and I was kind of fine with whatever of the 4 I got. But I'll happily take pecan pie. That's fine.
Yeah, actually, I think you made a mistake with that one, Sam.
Well, shoot.
It's one of those pies that feels like it should be controversial, and often it really isn't.
Yeah, I don't personally love it, but that's just me. Like, I know that's just me. Like, it's very popular.
All right, so
final picks for Arif, me, and Luke.
God, okay, Brussels sprouts is off the board.
Bad dad joke, you're on fire, dude.
Man. Okay, bad dad joke. That's a really good one.
French silk pie for the people who can't see, which is everyone.
Which is everyone. I really wanted to go with a potato of some sort. I'm feeling left out on the potato front, but I have a lot of carbs. I don't have any veg at all. And though I love asparagus, I can't do it. I'm gonna go with hold on. We're marketing, right? So I gotta figure out how the best way to put this. Honey roasted carrots. Let's do that and say it like
Ooh.
that. Yeah.
Yep. I
That's
think
pretty
adding
good.
the honey is an
That's
automatic, like that's a
that's good.
5% boost on your team. Big time.
Get some currants in there.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm gonna go green bean casserole at number 23 to give my plate a little bit of color. No veggies either, so that'll be my final pick in the flex, and then a dessert
It's
for
like a
Luke
6th round special teamer kind of.
Yeah, let's go with the pumpkin cake, cream cheese frosting, buttercream cheese frosting, and a pumpkin.
I don't have room
You
for all
put
the
all of
frosting.
that into
no, I need all that on there. Otherwise, I'm out.
Pumpkin cake.
How about
you could put pumpkin cheesecake in there.
Okay.
Is it a cheesecake?
Well,
that is a dish.
No, because I went with cheesecake. It was either last year or 2 years ago, and it was not received very well. So just put pumpkin cake. That's fine. Pumpkin cake.
Yeah, Twitter's gonna know.
You're talking about like a spice cake.
Sorry.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Thank you. Yep.
Ooh,
Pumpkin spice cake. Maybe you can put that on there. Pumpkin spice cake.
Pumpkin spice cake is probably a more common term.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does fit, so it is permitted. I can't wait to see what the chat's been cooking up. Those are the teams. We'll put it on X, and then those that didn't watch it live, who don't know the team, identities, can vote, and we'll have results on Monday. We also have the postcast on Sunday after Vikings Cardinals, and we'll get our picks in. We'll put those on X as well for our FanDuel contest, which Luke Inman is leading. And that's it. That's it for today. We appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for watching, listening, commenting, and subscribing. Thankful to all of you. It's the Minnesota Football Party on Locked On Sports Minnesota.